Firstly, I'd really like to tell you that Amy Sherman-Palladino is a genius. Furthermore, I really need to tell you that the first four seasons of Gilmore Girls are unquestionably brilliant. I've looked up interviews with Amy Sherman-Palladino. She's a fascinating person. It's actually really cool because uh, she is Lorelai, like the real woman, right? Like same thought pattern, the same speech pattern, the same philosophy, the same quirky, acerbic, witty behavior, which makes sense because, she created the character of Lorelai Gilmore and wrote her mostly and direct. I mean, Lorelai Gilmore is her creation, and I even heard her say the words that Lorelai Gilmore is more her stream of consciousness, and you can see it completely. So it's really cool seeing interviews. And you can see just how much of herself Amy put into characters like Lorelai Gilmore and shows like Gilmore Girls. And she always has fascinating things to say in these interviews. She speaks of like the rapid fire dialogue that Gilmore Girls is pretty known for. And she talks about how great dialogue has a rhythm, a melody, you know, great dialogue is sonic. Its texturing is sonic, its momentum is sonic, its delivery is sonic. That's what happens when you have great dialogue. And she says that Gilmore Girls always honored the beat. And I love the way she put that. Gilmore Girls always honored the beat. And it definitely always did. I'm not going to argue against that. It also speaks pretty candidly of Gilmore Girls as a dramedy. She seems to emphasize comedy more. And I guess I would say that Gilmore Girls is a comedy forward show. And the largest design flaw of Gilmore Girls is that I think it is semi-secretly just as devoted to those dramatic qualities of its texturing, and it wants to have its cake and eat it too. That's the problem of a dramedy. Dramedies want to have their cake and eat it too. How comedy is having your cake and eating it too, but drama is about taking your losses. It's about taking a loss. And Gilmore Girls seems kind of incapable of doing that. Season 6 of Gilmore Girls was trash. It was a fucking shit show. I hated it. I'm sorry. I think it's garbage. Let's talk about Paris first because Paris is the only thing that ever makes me happy about this show anymore. And I hate the way that she was treated in the sixth season. Paris Geller, I think, is perfect, a perfect character um, who was handled brilliantly during the series, the first three seasons of the show. But seasons 4 and 5, no one fucking cares about her anymore, but me. Also, Rory is a trash human. She got the editing job. She pretended to be Paris's friend. Like, I don't buy her as authentic. I don't buy her as legitimate. I don't believe her. I don't think she's sensitive. I think she's the most insensitive character on this show. And I think that, like, we're supposed to think that it's a great thing that Paris got impeached. It's fucking bullshit. The show doesn't care about Paris anymore. The show doesn't care enough about her to actually experience her ups and downs. These ups and downs happen off screen. With Doyle, both the breakup and the reconciliation, both off screen. Everything is off screen. Even her funniest moments are off screen now. One of them is when Doyle's talking about it. It's when Paris was first impeached as the editor of the Yale Daily News, and Doyle is like, dude, she doesn't sleep anymore. She just does her crafts, and she put on Saw 2 at 3 a.m. last night. And when I woke up to ask her to turn it down, she berated me for being a film snob. That's brilliant. It's also off screen. I love that she stayed on the show for the entire run, but I hate what they've done or haven't done with her. They don't care about Paris enough to even put her best moments on screen. Liza Weil is hilarious, right? She's fucking hilarious and she's hot as fuck, and I love watching her. And I think that Paris is a character who really like entered my heart. Like I'm obsessed with the character. I think that the character was so important, so fascinating, so postmodern, a great postmodern brat for the first three seasons. And like I said, I'm glad that I get to see her still. And I'm glad that they didn't write her out of the show. But at this point in season six, her best character defining like arc providing moments don't happen on screen. We deliberately leave her and we don't watch the reconciliation with Doyle. We don't watch the breakup with Doyle. We don't even get most of her funniest jokes. They're told to us like secondhand. The show doesn't even want us to experience the big Paris Geller moments anymore, and that's insane. The best Paris Geller episode this season was early on when she helped out Rory at a Daughters of the American Revolution event as a server, and during a single shift, she became a full blown Marxist screaming at the top of her lungs about killing your masters, fucking eating the rich. That's so great. That's so hilarious. It's so funny. I'm surprised it even happened on screen. The way that season six went, they didn't want you to be around Paris. Like the show doesn't want me to know Paris anymore. This show doesn't even know Paris anymore. This kind of sucks. That kind of just sucked so much. Uh, I've never been this deeply troubled and let down by a show before. Because yeah, I mean, I get Paris. She appears. She steals the show every time she does appear, and yet it's deliberate now. Her her most emotional moments don't happen on screen. We don't get to see them. She's worse than Kirk at this point. They don't even care about her enough to give her like those moments of victory that Kirk so often stumbles into. Paris Geller, I love you to death. You are forever in my heart. You're one of my favorite characters of all time, and Liza Wiles' performance is always top notch, is always so committed, and is always incredibly funny. But it used to be so sensitive and it used to be so tender, and her character used to be handled in a way that was entirely sophisticated and challenged every sort of meta narrative available, redefined what a postmodern brat could be in my book. And ever since, ever since she graduated Chilton, you guys have treated her like some sort of postmodern hoax, um, as a caricature of the power that I felt you guys took so much time into developing within her archetype. I think you guys suck for that. Amy Sherman-Palladino, that's your biggest mistake, and it's almost unforgivable. We're just supposed to be happy for Rory at every turn. Nothing bad could ever fucking happen to this baby-faced girl. And we should be reveling and laughing at Paris for losing her opportunities and not knowing how to be around people because she's so misanthropic that it's a detriment to her like upward mobility, to her progression as a human being. We're supposed to laugh at that and be happy that Rory is getting everything that she ever wanted. And Rory has to, she's not a good friend to Paris. A good friend wouldn't do that. A good friend would be by that person's side until the end and help them change. Rory didn't do that. Rory is a terrible trash human. And the way she treats Paris in this season really illustrates all of the different ways that I hate her, and that this show has a very skewed and fucked up um, idea of what virtue means. Because if these characters are supposed to be acting virtuously, then I must just be crazy because I all I see is cowardice. Jess makes a few appearances on the show. Jess, our postmodern wrecking ball, is always a welcome addition to the fold. He didn't do a whole hell of a lot. He just shows up and gets rejected by Rory. That's what Jess does. Nice to see you, Jess. Milo's looking better and better, and that's real chemistry between Rory and Jess. That's real chemistry. So it's always good to see it. So I'll take every opportunity that I can to see Jess on screen. And it was nice seeing him, even though it was kind of dumb. The most interesting part of the entire season was done at the end of episode 13, where Lorelai and Rory had reconciled at this point because they had a falling out at the end of season 5. All of it was Rory's fault, by the way. Lorelai is too self-centered to understand that mature people are the ones that seek closure, not young people. She's a Lorelai. We'll get into her in about 2 seconds. I fucking hate her to death, and I think she's a trash human being too. But episode 13, where they finally go back to Friday dinner and they the composition changes. We get a screaming montage of conflict, and it's perfect. Amy Sherman-Palladino is this is where her genius. It's the only part of the entire series where you can see the genius of Amy Sherman-Palladino's composition for designing, like, on full display. And the form the composition takes changes from steady cam to that kind of sensitive symmetry that was so prominent and so revealing in the first three seasons of the television show. We're just kind of fast forwarding through getting everybody caught up in all of the different arguments that we missed because of the meta narrative itself. It calls direct attention to the meta narrative, to the mechanisms of the plot, to the mechanisms of archetypal behavior, and we just fast forward through all of it, and it's chaos, it's anarchy, and it's like, I mean, even though it is kind of self-referential in a very like chaotic and destructive way, it's also like liberating to see the show's actual composition kind of alter for that brief montage, and it's the closest word that best encapsulates it probably is a postmodern whirlwind, and I really love the way that that episode ended. The mechanisms of storytelling were challenged and they were defied, but it never compromised like the well, most importantly for Palladino, it never compromised the comedy of the moment. It honored the beat of the montage, not just like verbally, but visually as well. It was a truly lyrical moment at the end of that episode, and it attacked its own sensibilities. And man, it reached a genius height, and that was the only genius height of the season. But uh, most people throughout their entire lives can't even accomplish that much. And I'm very impressed by that bit in this season. Amy Sherman Palladino, like, proving ever more that she is truly capable and effortlessly brilliant. Luke's daughter killed this show. Luke has a daughter. The daughter falls from the sky and lands in the viewer's lap, and we're like, we don't take it back. I don't want it. The Luke daughter thing is fucking bullshit. The show wants to have its cake and it wants to eat it too, and I refuse to sit at the dinner table with it anymore. Luke's daughter is the worst addition. It's a sign of creative bankruptcy, and it's cheap and it's cruel. Let's talk about Luke. Let's talk about Lorelai. Let's talk about how Lorelai is a trash human and how Christopher is one of the most boring characters I've ever seen, and that Lorelai leaving Luke for not eloping with her on the spot and fucking her ex-boyfriend Christopher, who has been nothing but a pain in my ass since the show started. I never liked anything that he ever did. Lorelai is cruel. Lorelai is inhumane. Lorelai is a fucking child, and like, congratulations. She used to aggravate me, and now I hate her. Like, now I have a seething hatred for the character, for the lead. So great job, Amy Sherman Palladino. Uh, if you intended for me to hate the show because you were about to leave it, you succeeded. Yes, Amy Sherman Palladino left after season six. The show left the WB, it went to the CW, and Amy Sherman Palladino had a lot of disagreements how the CW was going to run its programming, so she left. She comes back for the miniseries that we'll cover later and to properly close it, and that I'm very excited for that. I feel like that gives her there's a lot of potential for that to be incredibly moving and powerful, and I can't wait. But a part of me feels like she kamikazed, she suicide torpedoed her own fucking show before she left, and I hate your leads. Like, I completely hate them. You did you took all the likability and drained it from them. Rory for using Paris, in my opinion, and Lorelai for clearly being a complete and utter bitch. The WB is it's interesting to hear Amy Sherman Palladino talk about her time at the WB and being like, they had their anti-Emmy parties, which she's like, I'm sure they wouldn't have had those if any of their shows ever got nominated for an Emmy, but it was still an interesting gesture. The WB were interested in like almost auteur voices. They were interested in your Joss Whedons and your Kevin Williamsons, your One Tree Hills. They were interested in unique voices with unique visions, which gave Gilmore Girls the chance. This interesting deconstruction of the screwball comedy, mother and daughter who are more like friends, and the WB really was a really it was a fascinating think tank for I think some of the most important and interesting and moving pop art that the late 90s and early to mid 2000s had. And yeah, yeah, it's really cool to hear her talk about her time there. Um, but yeah, she left the show because when it went to the CW, there were too many contractual disputes, and she thought she left it in good hands. She said she left it with writers that she and her husband Daniel had trained, but I'm not looking forward to it. I think it's gonna fucking suck dick. I hate it. I haven't even watched it and I hate it already. I'm not looking forward to it, but I am looking forward to A Year in the Life. Um, the way that Amy Sherman-Palladino intended to end the show. I'm very excited for that. I hope you salvage this because you really fucked over your two main characters here. You really fucked them over. In the finale, um Rory threw a party for Logan, like a London themed party for Logan. Logan's going away with his father on a trip, and Logan looks over and he's like, "Can you please ask me to stay?" And she says, "You know I can't do that." A part of me believes that since it was on WB, Kevin Williamson, Dawson's Creek, ask me to stay. Joey asked me to stay. A part of me thinks that that is a nod to the Joey and Pacey um, perfect love story of season three with Ask Me to Stay. Tell me not to leave. Like ask me to stay. And Logan's doing the same thing to Rory, but Rory can't do that for some reason because she's worthless and she's powerless and she's spineless. Um, she sucks. Pacey and Joey can both do this thing, or at least Joey went with him. Rory stayed. Rory let him go. The show is surrendering. Because Logan's also saying like, please tell me to reject the narrative, and I will. And Gilmore is saying that it doesn't have that drive or postmodern momentum anymore. Gilmore Girls is saying that it doesn't care. How the mighty hath fallen, and it's been a steady, steady decline. It's not really a roller coaster, right? Because it started at the top and it worked its way down. That's why I'm really excited for A Year in the Life for the Netflix revival limited series where they complete the show. I'm excited for that. I think it's going to be really interesting. Postmodern comedy doesn't really work too well. And it works, but we're over 100 episodes in. You have to, part of what makes comedy characters so interesting is because of their flaws and because the show loves them before for their flaws. But dramedy, that's having your cake and eating it too. It's been over 100 episodes. Characters are supposed to change. They're not supposed to be as deeply flawed as they were in the first season. These people are supposed to change. There's not like it's a postmodern show. Defy the status quo. Reject the narrative. Why are you telling me that you're not going to do that? Gilmore Girls? Why don't you have any fucking balls, any guts? No character has fucking changed. None. That's the problem with comedies. It honestly is. It's a lot funnier when a character doesn't have that life-changing kiss or that life-changing moment. It's a lot funnier where they when they awkwardly miss it or don't understand it. So Gilmore Girls is it's aligned itself more with comedy than with drama at this point, um, which makes both elements fall flat. Gilmore Girls season six is gut rot. There's gangrene all over this season. I like the Sonic Youth cameo in the very last episode, by the way. I mean, like that could have been saying something interesting, like a bunch of troubadours came to town, this cacophony of this music. That's why I think that Amy Sherman Palladino is fucking like suicide bombing her own fucking show. Because that could be a way of telling us that too many cooks in the kitchen in like a very postmodern way. Like it's rejecting the clarity of Gilmore Girls. Um, it's saying that like you have all of the if we honor the beat, if we honor the melody, uh, you can't honor that many melodies at once. It's just cacophonous. We're gonna go to the CW, and we're not gonna be around. We're suicide bombing the show. We always honored the beat, but now we're gonna make it impossible for any beat to ever be honored by providing you with far too much noise and far too many verses. That's what I think the troubadour part of the finale is saying. And if that's true, then that's incredibly selfish too. But like I said at the beginning of this video, Amy Sherman-Palladino definitely is Lorelai Gilmore, and Lorelai Gilmore is one of the most selfish fucking characters I've ever seen on a television show. It doesn't make Amy Sherman-Palladino any less of a genius or any less heartfelt and affectionate. In fact, it probably makes her more so because she's flawed, just like the rest of us. It's just when that's writ large, it's hard to stomach. I used to love Gilmore Girls. I really did. Paris Geller is still in my heart. I still want to marry that chick, but there are a thousand things I'd rather do than watch season 7. A thousand things. But not to worry, I will be back in 1 week to discuss season 7. I'll torture myself for you. What I'm really looking forward to is A Year in the Life. But all things in good time. I think that's probably where we're gonna end this. This season had nothing interesting to say, and I in turn have nothing interesting to say about it. This season didn't even really deserve a video. I have to do it. Whatever. Thank you for watching me. I've been your cult boyfriend. Take care of yourselves out there. I'll be back in 1 week to do season 7. Uh, I hope you continue with me on this journey. It's getting really, really treacherous, really hard, really rough. So, if you bail, oh my God, I get it. I get it, but I can't. I'm too invested. I'm far too involved. And I'll take every precious moment that I get with Paris Geller. I'll take them all. And I'll be thankful for them, no matter what form they come in. I just um I just want the best for one of my favorite characters. You can't hate me for that.